Hello, 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 and welcome back down the rabbit's hole. I'm Icarus 480, and I'm back once again with a new edition of Icarus Storytime for you guys. So I had this video uploaded for like 30 minutes on Bicycle Day. However, YouTube decided it'd be a great idea to kick it the fuck off. So I have to retell this story. I do apologize, but it is not part 3 of Tales of the Street. That video is still being made. I have taken a huge break from social media. I've taken a huge break from making content, so I really haven't been able to perfect the words of that story. Once that's done, that's definitely going to be up, but I thought of this story the other day and just thought it was too golden not to share. And I miss making content as much as I hope you guys miss seeing it, so let's jump straight into our psychedelic time machine. Smoke DMT. This happened about 3.5 years ago, I want to say. Old school Icarus fans remember the call center I used to work at. I used to stream there all the time and have all kinds of crazy adventures. At this point in time, I had just gone out of a very long relationship. I was probably single for like a good month and a half, 2 months. So we're going to pick up from there. I walk into work one day, right? Just another average day. I used to have like a little group of people I would hang out with. We'd all sit together. So I go to that little area, turn on my computer, start plugging in my headset, and then now I just hear a bunch of fuss happening behind me, right? Just like, yo, dude, did you see her? Bro, I saw her, man. Yeah, I was talking to her for a little bit, dude. I think she's digging me. I'm turning around like, yo, what are you guys talking about? They're like, you kidding me? You didn't see her? Like, who? They're like, the new girl. She's sitting right there in front of you. So like 2 rows in front of me, I just see curly hair like up to here and like the back of someone's head. I'm like, wow. Yeah, she's got a sexy ass back of the head. They're like, nah, dude, wait till you see her. You're going to flip. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I sit down, start working. You know, I see this girl probably like an hour later get up to go get a cup of coffee from the break room, and then she walks back, and that's when I see her face. She's cute, you know what I'm saying? Very average girl next door type of person. Glasses, curly hair, you know, probably a little shorty, like 5'4" or something like that, sits down. I'm like, okay. I turn around, I'm like, yeah, she's pretty cute. And they're like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Everyone's just, you know, guy things. So little while later, I see her get up with a cigarette in her mouth and walk to the smoking area, which is probably like a good 2.5, 3-minute walk away from our office. So I'm trying to be the big alpha here. I'm like, let me show you guys how this is done. So I wait for her to go down the smoking area. I just didn't get up and just start following her or anything like that, you know. Waited about a good minute, minute and a half, got up, got my cigarette, started walking down. So as I get down there, I see her fidgeting with her lighter, trying to light her cigarette. And I'm like, yo, perfect, right? So I walk up, I'm like, hey, looks like you're having a little bit of trouble there. She's like, yeah. I'm like, allow me. Pretty girls shouldn't light their own cigarettes anyways. Hey, what's up? I'm Icarus. Nice to meet you. So we get to talking, right? Small, you know, average talk. Oh, how you liking the job? Nice. Where did you work before this? How old are you? Blah, 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 blah. Where are you from? That was the question that changed the entire game. Once I said, where are you from? She said, well, I live here, but I'm from Casa Grande. So true Icarus fans know I'm from Casa Grande. Shithole of a town, small town, but nonetheless, I'm from Casa Grande. So I'm like, no fucking shit. I'm from Casa Grande too, man. She's like, what? So we start talking about where'd you go to school, blah, blah, blah. Where'd you live? Conversation's going, flowing. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's pretty awesome. Yo, you single? She's like, well, you know, me and my boyfriend are breaking up right now. Like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, how horrible. Well, check this out. You know, let me get your number. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm all ears. And she's like, okay, cool. So I get the number. We go back up, and then all the dudes in the office are like, yo, yo, yo. I'm like, I got the number. They're like, you fucking liar, you liar, blah, 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 blah. So she gets up to leave because, like, new hires only have half days. She gets up to leave. I'm like, hey, I'll text you. She's like, okay, cool. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. So anyways, we get to texting, right? I mean, it was just, you know, conversation. It began to get flirty, whatever. And this probably went on for like a good 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks. One day after work, she invites me to the bar. She's like, hey, you know, at this point, we were getting off at the same time. Hey, let's go to the bar, have a couple drinks. Do you like, you know, IPAs? I'm like, I love IPAs. Let's go. So we go to the bar, start having a few drinks. One thing leads to another. We start making out, right? That's all that happened. For the record, I never stuck my dick in this chick. Never. And We start making out. Okay, now we have a little office romance happening, like high school shit. We'd sneak off and go make out behind a corner for a little bit, and like literally that's it. This probably went on for like a good week. So I was higher up in this office, so I had 2 days where I had to work like super early morning shifts. So for 2 days I never saw her because she would come in after my shift was over. This was on one of those days. I'm sitting there, it's probably like 10:30 in the morning, and this fucking flower guy walks in with this huge bouquet of flowers, right? He walks up to the dude sitting in the middle, like our manager. He sits on this big podium, walks up to the manager and starts talking to him. Now, all the girls in the office are just completely oogled on the fucking fact there's flowers in here. Everyone's like, oh my God, did my husband give me flowers? Did my boyfriend give me flowers? Like, who got the flowers? Huh? Everyone's just, freaking out. So I'm just sitting there like, okay, whatever. And I notice the manager point to me. And then the dude starts walking my direction. Now, it doesn't help that this guy was holding up the fucking flowers like it's the Stanley Cup or something. Just like, hey, what's up? We got a flower delivery over here. He starts walking over to me, and, I see him pay no mention to it because I ain't gonna get no fucking flowers, dude. Walks up to my row, and he's like, is there a 480 Icarus over here? And everyone just stares at me. And I look at this guy, and I'm like, that's me. He's like, okay, can you sign this? And then I sign it, and he hands me this big old fucking thing of flowers, beautiful flowers, but sets them on my desk. And I'm like, who is this from? He's like, I don't know, but there's a card there. So I pull the card, I open it, and it said the creepiest fucking message it could have said for knowing somebody for like 2.5, 3 weeks. It said, I just wanted to let you know I'm thinking about you. Dash her name. I'm like, what the fuck? And then as soon as I'm trying to process this, all the female coworkers are like, who's it from? Who's it from? Oh my God. I'm like, it's from a secret admirer. And they're like, is it from her name? And I'm like, no. Why do you say that? Like, come on, we see you guys talk. And I'm like, no, it definitely isn't. Whatever. So I go back to work, and I'm creeped out at this point. Because, like, ladies, do not buy a dude flowers unless you've been dating him for like a year. Like, especially a flower delivery at work. It's fucking weird. So I get off work and I text her, and I'm like, hey. And she's like, oh, hey, did you get something today at the office? I was like, yeah, I did. Thank you for the flowers. It's a very sweet gesture. Now, I'm not an asshole. I can't just be like, hey, bitch, you're extremely creepy. Don't ever do that again and don't talk to me. I'm just too nice of a guy. So I was like, I really appreciate it. Thank you, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I know it's a little much, but, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, cool. So I was living with Ramel. You guys might remember him from the intoxication conversation videos. I was living with Ramel at the time, and I go home, and I have this huge thing of flowers, and he's like, what the fuck? I'm like, dude, you're not going to believe this. So I met this chick. We've been just making out here and there. And she bought me fucking flowers today. And he's like, yeah, it's fucking weird. I'm like, dude, for real, bro. Like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Crazy. So I'm trying to like find a way to like get myself out of this situation, to kind of distance myself from her. So like I kind of stopped, following her out to go make out and shit like that. And she kind of picked up on it, like, what's going on? Are you okay? I was like, yeah, I just haven't been feeling good this week, like that. And yeah, so I get fired from this job, and which is kind of a blessing in disguise, because now I don't have to deal with this chick. And, I honestly hated the job after 3 years anyways. So I get fired, and I have to look for a new job. Now, during this period of time, apparently, since me and Ramel are from Casa Grande, and so is that girl was in drama class with Ramel. And during our getting to know each other period, I had told her I lived with Ramel, which she didn't tell me that she knew. So she got in touch with Ramel and started talking to Ramel and decided to hang out with Ramel at my house. Again, this is all beyond my knowledge. So as I'm going out one day, going to apply for jobs, I come home, open the door, and this girl is sitting in my fucking living room. I opened the door, and when I saw her, I swear to God, I heard the Michael Myers theme playing in my fucking head. Just I'm just like, what are you doing here? She's like, oh, I'm hanging with Ramel. And I'm like, oh yeah. And he walks out, and he's like, oh, hey, what's up, dude? I'm like, hey. And he's like, how is the job search? I'm like, it's going good. So I sit down and I'm like in the fucking Twilight Zone right now, dude. I'm just so fucking confused. And she's like, oh, where's the little girl's room? I'm like, it's right over there. So she gets up and walks in and shuts the door. He's like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, what the fuck is your problem, dude? What the fuck is your problem? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you remember that crazy bitch that I've been making out with that bought me all the fucking flowers and won't leave me alone? He's like, yeah. I was like, that's her. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's fucking her. He's like, I was in drama class with her, dude. She hit me up and like asked to hang out with me. I'm like, you know, you fucked up and you literally brought her to the belly of the beast, son. What the fuck? He's like, dude, what do we do? I'm like, I don't fucking know, bro. So as we're having this little conversation, I hear the toilet flush. I hear the fucking sink turn on. She comes back out and sits down like nothing's wrong. I'm like, hey, I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab a beer. So I get up and leave, and again, I'm freaking out. And I just realize I need to get blitzingly drunk. I need to get extremely intoxicated because I can't fucking deal with this. So I buy 2 40s. I go back home. This girl had bought weed and pizza. So I get home to weed and pizza. I'm like, you are a clever girl. I love weed. I love pizza. But no, this is not going to work. So I just get hammered, right? Blackout. I wake up, it's like 10:30 at night, and this girl is still in our house. Still in our fucking house. I'm like, oh, hey, so we start talking or whatever. I'm like, I need to get more drunk. I'm going to go buy another beer. So she's like, I'll go with you. So we walk to the store, grab some beer, come back, sit down, and we start talking just about random shit. So she knew me as Icarus because I throughout this whole getting to know each other period, I told her about my channel, which I'm sure she fucking studied all night, every fucking night, just starts asking me all about my videos and experience with psychedelics and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm freaked out because I feel like this chick's like Jodi Arias. Like, this girl is extremely creepy. So, like, I'm trying to think, like, how can I get this girl to, like, look at me as a piece of shit? I'm going to tell her I'm addicted to heroin. So during this conversation of drugs, I'm like, yeah, you know, acid's cool and shit like that. But, you ever done heroin? Her eyes just like huge. She's like, no. I'm like, yes, I'm on the right track here. I'm like, yeah, well, you know, I've been doing heroin for like 6 months now, and you know, people make it out to be very bad, but I honestly like it. You have to shoot it. Don't smoke it, shoot it, because that's when you get the full effect of it. She's like, okay. And I'm like, you want to do some heroin? And then she gets real quiet, looks at me and says, you know what? I'll do it for you, but you got to do everything for me because I'm afraid of needles. And Ramel was listening to this conversation happening, and he knew exactly what I was trying to do, and I just see him put his head down and shake his fucking head, and I'm like, this girl is fucking crazy. This girl is legit psycho. She is trying to do heroin for me. I've known you for like 2.5 weeks. Holy fuck. And then now I have to tell her I'm not actually on heroin. And there was a joke, so like I kind of chuckle. I'm like, yeah, that was a joke. I really don't do heroin. She's like, oh, okay. Just like nonchalantly. I'm like, okay, fuck. So I, again, get blackout. I fall asleep, and I wake up just from a dead sleep. Just wake up, and I'm laying on the bed, and this girl's laying next to me, and she's crying. Just tears crying. Real tears, like Native American tears, dude. Just crying, just and like I'm freaked out because like I woke up, I see this girl crying, and I think, okay, she's going to kill me. Like, she has a knife in her hand. She's so much in love with me. She needs to own my life, like fucking the killer of John Lennon. Like, the reason she's crying is because she needs to take my life, and she knows she's not supposed to, but it's something she has to do, and I'm about to die. So I freak out, and I'm like, you know, kind of arch back. I'm like, are you all right? Now, my fist is cocked, right? I would never hit a girl, but if this bitch is about to turn into fucking Jodi Arias, I'm going to fucking smack a hoe. So I'm just waiting for this girl to lunge at me, and I'm like, are you okay? What's wrong? She's like, you just look so beautiful when you sleep. I'm like, it's okay. Like, no, I don't. I sleep like drool and boogers are coming out my fucking nose and shit. I'm like, it's okay, just go to bed. So I like lay there and I'm freaked out, like, okay, like what do I do? And eventually I fall asleep. I wake up in the next morning and she just keeps trying to hang out there. And I'm like, don't you got to go to work? Like, you work today, right? She's like, no, I quit my job. I'm like, why'd you quit your job? She's like, well, after they fired you, I just figured I couldn't work for someone that would fire someone as wonderful and as hardworking as you. I'm like, okay, well, I have to go. I have to go to P Fresh's house. We're doing the intoxication conversation tonight, and then we got some things we got to do, so I have to let you go. She's like, it's okay. I'm like, all right, bye. Give her a kiss, like leave her. I'm like, okay, shit. So I didn't fucking go to P Fresh's, obviously. I went to a rave that night, and then at the rave, I had taken a picture like this with like two chicks' booties next to me or whatever, and then I go home. I wake up, and probably like 11 the next day, I get a text from her, and she's like, how could you do this to us? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she sends me that photo. She's like, you said you were doing the intoxication conversation, not partying with girls. And I was like, okay, well, I forgot the part where it said we were dating, because we're definitely not fucking dating. And she was like, I know we're not dating, but what baffles me the most is if these girls like you enough to let you take pictures with their butts, then I should be lucky that you give me attention and care for me. And that's when I snapped. I was like, okay, look, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I think you're crazy. Like, I really don't want anything to do with you. Like, I think you're a great person, but this is just not going to work. Like, you're really stepping on toes. She's like, I've been nothing but nice to you. I'm like, I understand that, but there's nice, and then there's way too fucking nice, and you're being way too fucking nice, and I'm just not with it, blah, 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 blah. She's like, okay, you'll see. And that was the last I've ever heard from her. You'll see. And that's the scariest part of this story. You'll see. You know what I mean? Because this was 3.5 years ago, but to this day, they say that she's still out there, lurking in the night, just waiting for that moment to seek her revenge. And that's the story of the craziest girl I've ever met. I hope you guys got a good laugh out of this. Yeah, once again, part 3 of Tales of the Street is going to be uploaded very soon. I just haven't been able to put it into words. It's something I really want to make perfect for you guys. So stay tuned. I hope you guys had a wonderful 420, a wonderful bicycle day, and everything like that. If you guys ever need to find me, you guys know where to look. Just jump down the rabbit's hole, take a left at the Land of Oz. From there, it's second star to the right and straight on till morning. You'll find yourself in that state of consciousness before you fall asleep and start dreaming. Right there, my friends, that's where Icky's always going to love you, and that's where I will always be waiting. See you later. Peace, love, and smoke that DMT.